Next up is going to be adding in a phone. So you can see there, no phone's currently connected. You've got two different options. So let's start off and connect a device. I'm going to start off on the iPhone side of things. So you're just going to hop into your Bluetooth, look for the name of your vehicle and connect through. And there we go. PIN numbers match up. So yes and pair. Do I want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? This is not my vehicle, so I'm going to say no to that one. Obviously, if it was yours in your profile, you could select yes there. And fully connected with the option for wireless CarPlay. So it is backwards compatible, so you could use a USB cable if you wanted to, but we're wireless. So let's just use CarPlay. You have to accept it in order for it to work, and it'll take a second there. See, it's trying to connect. There we go, and connected. Look at that. Beautiful. Nice and responsive as well, and then you can still use that trackpad down the center in order to move through. But I mean, there are so many different options. So along the left side of CarPlay, you've got your current time, connection level, battery level, which map was open last, which audio application was open last, and which miscellaneous application was open last. And then you can push this to get to an icon view or a little split view instead, and then back home. And then you can just swipe across if you wanted to get to any of the other options. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in Apple Maps, Google Maps, or Waze, but inside of the iPhone side of things, so Apple CarPlay, you don't have pinch to zoom capabilities. So you're zooming in and out this way instead. And I said that's the same way for Apple Maps, for Google Maps, and for Waze. But on the Google Maps side of things, you could push the little gear icon for route options, so avoiding highways, toll roads, and ferries. You could change out the map colors, traffic, and a number of other things. I prefer to use Waze, and the big reason why, it works the same way as other map applications with one difference, and that's that if you hit this icon, you could then report if there's traffic, police, crashes, and other hazards and things like that along the route. So if we were, I can't pinch to zoom, go out this way, you can see what's going on. If people mark things on the route as you go, it's going to let you know. So you can see other Waze users, there's an accident that's going on there as well. If there were obstacles on the highway, people parked in the shoulder, things like that, it would give you a heads up and let you know. Audio, there are a ton of options. So Hoopla is a library app, so you can use that if you want to. VLC is an audio app, same idea. You've got YouTube Music and so many other things. It's great. And then on the iPhone side of things, if you go into your settings, general, and then CarPlay, find the vehicle, you could then forget the car if you want to. You can customize the launcher or turn CarPlay off while the phone is locked. You can customize as well. So let's say if you're a bigger fan of having your, maybe like your audiobooks at the top and you prefer to use Waze, you can just do a drag and drop in order to change out the screen. If you don't want to use certain apps, you could then delete them as well. So it's fully removed certain apps from the screen, but they are saved on the phone. If you want to add them back in, you just hit the little plus icon in order to do it. And if you're not a fan of the layout, along the top right-hand side, you can then reset, and that just brings you back to your factory default layout there instead. So pretty straightforward, but that's the basics of using CarPlay. And if you push the home icon down the center stack there, that brings you out of it. You could then hop back into CarPlay that way if you want to. Back home, same idea. Button on the top left, you can push that to get back into CarPlay. And then you've got this little icon there with a phone. And that lets you go back into your devices section. So if we were to connect there, you can disconnect or delete the device, or you can just hop back into Bluetooth instead. So if you didn't want to use CarPlay and you just wanted to be hooked up for phone calls or for audio, you'd have the flexibility to do it. So you can either be hooked up for your phone calls or for your audio, and then it's either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But that's how you set up an iPhone inside of Mercedes vehicles. Setting up an Android device is the exact same process. So from this device's screen, or if we were back home for a second there, you've got your phone, so you can swap out that way if you want to. So we hit swap, and we get out to this odd screen. That's not what we're looking for. What we want to do is get to this. So your device's screen again, and we're just going to go connect new device. On the Galaxy, same idea. We're just going to look for that vehicle name, so it'll take a second to scan through. There we go. Once it shows up, going to connect. There we go. Numbers match up, so we're going to hit yes and OK. And it's just going to take a second to connect. Look at that. And we're fully connected. So very straightforward. And then on the phone, it's asking me, do I want to allow access to contacts and messages? I'm going to say no, because again, this is not my vehicle. But as you can see there, wireless Android Auto. It's the same idea. Just going to hit accept and start. Perfect. And here we go. And it's also giving me the option of switching back to CarPlay if I wanted to, but I'm on Android Auto right now. And you've got your same full screen with a very similar app setup along the left side, or icon setup, I should say. So it's your current time, connection, and battery levels, your map, audio, phone. There's also a voice command prompt, so you'd be able to activate your Google Assistant that way. You could do a longer press and hold on the steering wheel to do that, and that's the same way in the iPhone side of things as well. You can push there to get to this little icon view split screen, and then you can push the map in order to go full screen Google Maps. And unlike the Apple side of things, Google Maps on the Android, full pinch to zoom capabilities. You can search for addresses, hit the gear icon to avoid certain things in your route as always, so avoiding motorways, toll roads, ferries, things like that. Back home into the split screen or the icon view. Now, one thing I'll point out, you can see there that Waze is actively installed on this phone and you can use it. But if you've got Waze on your phone and it's not showing up, I've put together a walkthrough video explaining how you can actually add Waze to any vehicle on Android Auto specifically. So you can find that walkthrough down in the description of this video. But as you can see there, fully connected. And I mean, it's user-friendly. You've got a series of different options available. So if you wanted to listen to podcasts, if that was available for you, if you had different audio apps downloaded like Spotify, things like that, those would also play through. And then similar to the iPhone side of things, you have the flexibility of adjusting the screen out. You're just going to search for Android Auto, look for Android Auto settings, and you've got a ton of different settings available. But what we're looking for is customized launcher. So you're just going to click on that, and you can see there you've got your basic layout. But let's say if you prefer to have Waze on the top, you're just going to do a press and hold. If you wanted to have Google Maps along the very bottom, just the same idea, button press in order to click and hold. But you can see there, it's not adjusting. So it's not dynamic the same way that it was on the iPhone side of things. So what you have to do is go back to the home screen. If you push there, again, that's not what we're after. So we just go back for a second into this little device icon there. And you can see there, we're connected that way. So what I want to do is disconnect from Android Auto, reconnect to Android Auto, and then it launches in. And the changes that we've made have now come into effect. So you just essentially have to disconnect to Android Auto, reconnect in order for that to work. But that's how you set up Android Auto in iPhone devices inside of the vehicle. Hopping back home now, if we go to swap out, you've got your basic Galaxy info there. You can swap out easily to either phone if you've got multiple devices connected. You can swap out this way. And then if we go to the device screen along the bottom, you can see there's a little bit of a mix and match. So if you wanted to have one phone set up for phone calls, one set up for audio, you can kind of do a mix and match this way. So it's either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. It's not both, but you could have any kind of a mix and match this way instead. Or you can push there in order to delete the device, delete, and delete the device, delete, and yes. And you're set to go. And that's how you set up Android and iPhone devices inside of the vehicle.